The rain was falling in gentle sheets over the quiet street, puddles forming around the parked cars as dusk settled in. People rushed by, umbrellas tilted against the wind, minds already on their warm homes. But amidst the rhythm of hurried footsteps and honking cars, a man paused. He wasn't looking at the sky or shielding his face from the rain. He was staring at a little girl. She couldn't have been older than 6. She sat on the cold steps of the bakery, a threadbare pink backpack hugged tightly to her chest. Her clothes were damp, her sneakers torn, and her big green eyes watched the world with the kind of stillness that only came from pain too big for someone so small. He would later tell everyone he didn't even think, he just walked over. That's how the story began. But what happened next is what no one could forget. "Hey there," he said gently, kneeling down beside her, trying to meet her eyes without scaring her. "Are you okay?" The little girl blinked at him, then looked away. Her lips quivered as if forming the answer was too heavy. But then, in a voice soft and cracked, she whispered, "I have no mama." And that one sentence shattered everything inside him. Daniel Hayes was not the kind of man you'd call a hero. A single father to a 10-year-old son, Mason, he was the guy who worked construction during the day and collapsed in front of reruns at night. He still wore the same jeans he'd had for years and carried the weight of his wife's death like a ghost always sitting next to him at the dinner table. She had passed away from cancer when Mason was just 3. Since then, Daniel had done his best, though he always felt it was never enough. There were missed school events, cheap dinners, and times when he cried silently in the bathroom while Mason slept. But in that moment, looking into the eyes of the girl on the bakery steps, Daniel felt something shift. She didn't ask for help. She didn't cry. She just sat there as if the world had moved on and left her behind. And he couldn't walk away. He took her to the local police station first, soaked and shivering. The officers were kind but overworked. They gave her a warm blanket, and someone brought her a juice box. But when they asked her name, she just shook her head. "What about your mama or daddy?" they asked. She whispered, "Mama's gone. Daddy hurt her. Then he left me." Daniel's heart sank. He stepped closer, offering her a smile, though his hands were shaking. "Do you remember anything? Your name, sweetheart?" She looked at him, then hesitated before saying, "Lily. I think my name is Lily." It took the police days to confirm her story. Lily's mother had been reported dead weeks ago, but Lily had vanished, and authorities feared the worst. Her father was still missing. She'd been surviving by hiding in public places, scavenging food, avoiding people, and sleeping in corners. Until the day the rain fell and she stopped running. Daniel didn't plan to take Lily home that night, but the foster care system was overloaded, and no one had space for her immediately. When the officer asked if he could keep her just for the weekend, he agreed. "I'll keep her warm and fed," he said. "But I'm no substitute for a real home." The irony didn't hit him until later that night when Mason, wearing his Spider-Man pajamas, walked into the living room and looked at the little girl curled up on their old couch. "Who's that?" "That's Lily," Daniel said. "She's staying with us for a little while." Mason walked over, looked at her sleeping face, and whispered, "She looks like she needs a mom." Daniel swallowed hard and nodded. "Yeah. She does." The days turned into weeks. Social services worked on Lily's case, but every option they found for her was temporary. Some homes didn't take girls her age. Others didn't feel right. And the more time Lily spent in Daniel's small home, the more she smiled. She started waking up without nightmares. She started eating full meals. She started laughing. And she started calling Mason her brother. Daniel noticed the change, too. She helped Mason with homework. She asked to help with dinner. She started leaving little drawings for Daniel on the fridge. One morning, he found a crayon picture of her holding his hand with "My new dada" written under it. He sat on the floor and cried for the first time in years. It wasn't all easy. Lily had scars, not just emotional, but real ones. One night she panicked when the blender was turned on. Another time, she hid under the table during a thunderstorm, trembling. Daniel took her to therapy, sat with her during every session, and answered the hard questions with honesty and love. One day, she asked him, "Will I have to go away again?" Daniel hesitated, then took her hand and said, "I don't know how the world works sometimes, Lily. But I do know this, I'll fight for you." She stared at him, then climbed into his lap and whispered, "I hope you win." The moment that went viral came months later. It was Lily's 7th birthday, and Daniel organized a small celebration in the park. Nothing fancy, just cupcakes, balloons, and a picnic blanket. But to Lily, it was everything. As she opened her gift from Mason, a stuffed bunny named Rosie, a local mom passing by with her kids overheard Lily giggling and asked, "Is that your daddy?" Lily looked over at Daniel, who was holding a camera, smiling proudly. She beamed and said, "Yes. He's not my first daddy, but he's my forever one." The woman, touched, shared the moment on social media. It was raw, honest, and pure. The video captured Daniel tearing up, Lily hugging him tightly, and Mason clapping as if it were the happiest day in the world. It exploded online. Millions watched. Millions cried. News stations picked it up. Interviews followed. People donated to Lily's therapy fund. Strangers wrote letters. Families adopted children because of that one video. But to Daniel, none of that mattered as much as what Lily whispered to him that night before bed. "Thank you for picking me up from the steps." "I didn't pick you up," he said softly. "You found your way to me." After months of court hearings, paperwork, evaluations, and tears, Daniel officially adopted Lily. She chose her new middle name, Hope. When the judge asked her why, she said, "Because I had no mama, but I found a family. And I think that's what hope means." The courtroom fell silent. Even the judge blinked back tears. Today, Daniel runs a small nonprofit called Steps of Hope, helping other children who've been abandoned or traumatized find temporary housing, therapy, and love. He always says, "It started with a girl on some bakery steps and a sentence that broke me. But what she gave me back was more than I ever expected." Sometimes, the smallest voices carry the loudest cries for love. A single act of kindness, pausing in the rain, kneeling on a sidewalk, can change everything. In a world full of brokenness, it's not the size of the home, but the size of the heart that makes a family. If you hear a child say, "I have no mama," maybe it's your chance to become someone's forever.